Today I brought the story of a serial killer who killed more than 150 women but the police could never catch him. Zodiac is the name of this movie, released in 2007 by David Fine. This story is directed from the point of view of the entire police investigation team, and this is the only movie in which you will see Iron Man, Hulk and Mysterio together. So the story starts on July 4, 1969, in Luro City. We see a woman named Darlene who picks up her boyfriend and both of them go to a secluded area of the hill. Now it takes a long time for both of them. Then we see a black man from behind. A car comes and immediately sees them and goes away from there, but after 10 minutes the car again returns towards them and a man comes out of the ear, and before both of them can understand anything, he shoots them. The killer himself calls the police and tells them that he has shot 2 people in the parking lot at this very place. Along with this, the killer also takes the responsibility of last year's murder on the call. Now the story comes 4 weeks in San Francisco. After this we see a man named Robert Gray Smith who drops his son at school and comes to his office. Robert works as a cartoonist in a newspaper named Chronicle. Now everyone is having a meeting in his office. Now during their meeting, they receive a letter from a serial killer. In this letter, the killer has given all the details of Darlene's death so that everyone can believe that he is the serial killer. In this meeting, we also see Paul from Iron Man, who is now a crime reporter. Here, along with the letter, this killer has also sent an encoded message which was in the form of a symbol. The killer's demand was to publish this encrypted message in the paper, after which he will reveal his identity, otherwise he will kill a dozen people. When Robert sees this letter, he tells that even if we publish the puzzles, there is no guarantee that the killer will reveal his identity. Along with this, he uncovers many things about serial killers from the letter. Paul tells everyone, but no one takes Robert's words seriously. They send this letter to the FBI. All the people of FBI try to solve it, but no one gets the answer now. These people decide that they have to print this letter in the paper, and the next day the puzzle is printed on the front page, and a couple who are history teachers solve this puzzle and immediately call their newspaper. Paul sees that all the guesses made by Robert are equal, so now both of them decide to work on the case together. Paul says his opinion and his own research, and all these things will be released in the article. Now 2 months pass and the police has not been able to catch the killer, and then another letter comes to the newspaper office where the killer has revealed his name is Zodiac. It is written about another murder that took place here. It tells that on September 27th, there is a place like Napa County in California, where a couple was sitting on a picnic on the bank of the lake. Then we see that a killer had reached there. He had a gun in his hand and was wearing a strange mask. The couple think that he has come with the intention of stealing. That is why they throw all the money in his direction, but the killer tells that he has escaped from the prison. He wants the keys of their car. Now both of them also give him the keys, but then the killer ties their hands and suddenly starts stabbing both of them with a knife. This time too he himself calls the police and gives all the information. The police immediately reach there. There was a boy who was among the 2 survivors. This information of entire murder has been given by the killer himself in the letter. Along with this letter, he had written some lines in which it is written that the most dangerous animal often is human. Now this line remains in Robert's mind, and he brings an old book from the office library and tells Paul that this last line means the most dangerous game. This is taken from a movie in which the killer used to hunt humans for his entertainment. The name of the killer in that movie also starts with Z. Now Paul publishes all these things in his articles. A curfew was imposed in the entire area. Police was doing its work day and night. Now after 2 weeks of this, Zodiac killer shoots a taxi driver, but this time he does not call the police himself, but a lady police is arrested for this murder. And we see Detective Dave and Detective Armstrong who come here to investigate. This was the first murder in this city of San Francisco, and the previous 2 murders were from different places. Now here on the scene, there were some children who probably saw the killer. According to them, the killer was 5 feet 11 inches white man. He was wearing specs. Now the very next day of this murder, a letter comes back to the Chronicle Times in which the killer has described how he killed the driver. Driver's blood-stained cloth was also sent, and it was written that the police are so stupid that if they wanted, they could have caught me because I was sitting in the nearby park all night. At the end of the letter, Zodiac had written that next time he would target a school bus. Dave is very surprised to hear this because till now he was thinking that the cab driver's case was a minor case, but Zodiac has done this. The serial killer has come to his city and there is a lot of case against him. The pressure was about to increase. Now these people get all the letters examined by a professional and they come to know that these letters have been written by the same person. Now they have no other option, that is why they broadcast the news of that bus on TV. Now the next day the entire department starts working on this case and these people call both Napa County and Valero places and get the details of the murder there and put them on Darlan's murder case. Footprints of the killer were found, which shows that the killer wore number 10 shoes and those shoes are found only in military camps. After 12 hours of this incident, 2 police officers come and meet Dave and tell him that these 2 have seen a man after leaving 3 blocks and maybe he was the killer but we could not catch him. Now Dev immediately called the sketch people and got a sketch of him done. Now soon the month of October comes. One night suddenly Dave gets a call that Zodiac has called the famous TV channel and has said that he will call tomorrow morning's morning show but he wants the famous celebrity lawyer Melvin Bailey on along with the host Jim, only then he will talk about him and his partner. Melvin is picked up at 5 a.m. in the morning and brought to the studio. After this, before the show goes live, Dave tells Jim and lawyer Melvin that it will take at least 15 minutes for us to trace the killer's call. Now live show starts where Chronicle people are also watching the show. Now Zodiac's call comes and he says that he is very scared. He has a lot of pain in his head and it is to stop migraine he kills people just for the sake of it. Now Melvin and Jim keep him entangled in their talks but Zodiac was very clever and he cuts the call even before 15 minutes are up and calls back again. He tells Melvin that this problem started with me when I hit a girl in the past. Now Melvin tells him that I want to help you. Zodiac also agrees to get help and says that in 15 minutes come to the laundry of St. Mary's Church. Along with him the entire police force comes but they do not find Zodiac there. After this they narrate the entire recording to a boy named Brian who had survived a murder but he says that this is not the voice of the killer who had killed me, his voice was very deep. Now after a few days, a letter comes back to the Chronicle in which there was a lot of mockery of the policeman along with a coded message and details of the bomb. Now on the same night, Paul and Robert go for a drink, where Paul first makes fun of Robert's blue drink in man's style, after which both of them also drink blue drink and during the conversation, Robert calls him a killer. Now Paul has written his code with the help of a book and this book is called Zodiac Alphabet. Paul gets shocked after hearing this and then Paul asks him that look everyone is benefiting from this case like I have got the job but why are you so evolved? There is no benefit to you in this. Robert is a little surprised by this question. We understand here that Robert was obsessed with this case and he was doing his own personal investigation. The December month comes where lawyer Melvin gets a letter from Zodiac at his home where in the letter he had written that I am getting out of control and maybe I will go to find my 10th victim. March comes next year. The year was 1970. We see a lady named Kathleen in the night with her little girl. She was driving on the highway of California with the child. When a car comes behind her, the man in the other car signals her to stop the car. On the other hand, Kathleen stops the car. He says that the rear tire of your car is loose. He will tighten it, but instead of tightening it, he does something else. Now after the man leaves, Kathleen also leaves, but after going some distance, he leaves in a towed car. Then the man comes again in his car and approaches the lady. The lady was in doubt but she had no option so she sits in the car but after going a little further these people cross the gas station. But still he does not stop the car. Then the guy says that I am going to kill you and your child and this shot cuts right here. Now after some time we see a very big truck driver had stopped on the same road and Kathleen was screaming very loudly and here we understand that to save the life of herself and her child, Kathleen had jumped from the moving vehicle. After this she had kept her child hidden on the side. Zodiac keeps killing like this. He lives and keeps sending his letters. Not only this, he also used to make fun of the police and ask how much reward on his head. He wanted to make himself famous, that is why police told Chronicle newspaper to stop printing about him. Now you people have no idea about this. They think how does he will react. One day Robert and Paul were sitting in a club and Paul says that this killer is a fraud who just wants to become famous and then Paul brings Robert to a place there was some newspapers were kept in which there were some killings which were done by someone else. Here it is revealed that Zodiac used to take the details of all these killings from the newspaper and all the same details were printed in the letter, that is, he was talking about the murder done by someone else. He is also taking it in his name so that people gets afraid of him. Then he shows him a pamphlet. There is a company named Zodiac. There is a watch company named Zodiac. Their logo is also exactly similar to the logo of Zodiac Killer. He says Zodiac's logo was also not original and he had copied it all. These things were discovered by Paul while doing his own investigation. Now a few months pass like this. There was no murder, there was no letter. The police starts thinking that now the killer has gone underground, although Paul used to publish some articles on him. Now 1 year has passed and the time comes in October 1977. Then one day suddenly a letter from Zodiac arrives on Paul's desk in which he threatens to kill him. Because Paul had also called him a homosexual in a letter, now Paul asks Dave for a gun for protection and he starts practicing shooting, and Robert was also always with him. Now here in the Chronicle people have also given this letter of Zodiac. It was published in the newspaper and it was said that he had threatened to kill our reporter Paul. Because of this Paul got a call from someone who told that he had some information about Zodiac but he has to came a place called Riverwood. Paul was going to meet her that night. He asks Robert to go with him but Robert says I am going on a date tonight. Now here Paul gets some information from that guy and he comes straight to the office. Next day in live television he tells that Zodiac's first murder was in 1966, he killed a girl. After that he also sent a letter to the Riverside police station and did all the same things as Zodiac is doing, but due to this news the name of the police gets defamed because people start feeling that the police is not doing its investigation properly. Now the next day, Dave Armstrong and some Napa County police arrive in Riverside to investigate the case. Avery is also with them. Now the officers there tell them that a girl named Chari was murdered in 1966. That killer had also written letters to everyone like Zodiac but the letters were no match with the letters received by Dave. The police did not find their handwriting similar. The suspect of Riverside was arrested. Now 8 months pass and while investigating, Armstrong gets a lead which tells that a few years ago, there was a janitor in his school whose name was Arthur, who often talked about murder. He also said that whenever he commits murder, he will call himself Zodiac, and he was jailed for molesting children. Now he works in a mill, so now Dave Armstrong and his entire team go to meet Arthur. The man is very tall and strong and sour. After seeing the police he is not afraid at all. He tells that he never thought of being Zodiac. He had not claimed to be anyone, his friend is lying. Now while talking, the police also saw his shoes, which matched with Zodiac, which was number 11, which was found only in military camps. In fact here, Arthur himself tells the truth. That after the murder, he himself was a police suspect and the police had checked his house and car many times, but the knife filled with blood that was found in his car had blood of a chicken. Now, during his interrogation, it was also revealed that all the murders that have taken place since Darling till date, Arthur was always around the same location. The police become suspicious that he is Zodiac. Not only this, Dave asks him for his watch which itself belonged to Zodiac Company. But these people were sure that he was the Zodiac, but there was one thing: Arthur was left-handed and all the letters written till now were with the right hand. Now on the same night, these three also met Arthur's brother and sister-in-law. They meet and show Zodiac's letters to them for questioning, where his sister-in-law confirms that whenever Arthur used to send us greeting cards, he also used to write double S in Christmas, just like Zodiac has written in his letters. They come and give all this information to their seniors, but despite this, they did not have any concrete evidence that Arthur had committed those murder. Now on the other hand, the condition of Paul: he gets drunk because he lost his mind due to the article related to Zodiac. The editor now asks him to stop all this but Paul did not listens to him. He does not agree and leaves the job and goes away. Here, Dave along with the police force raids Arthur's house. Now, a lot of squirrels are found lying in his house, which he used to kill and keep in the fridge. There are also unlicensed guns there, but in the end it is the same. There is no evidence of Zodiac killer. That is why they are not able to arrest Arthur. Now 4 years have passed in this case. Now a picture and a movie has been made on Zodiac killer. Dave goes to the movie. And he was very shocked and frustrated. He meets Robert in the same theater. Now after some time, Dave's partner Armstrong also gets transferred from this case, while another writer was hired in place of Paul. People had moved on. Zodiac had also stopped writing letters but Robert was still the same. It seemed as if he was obsessed with Zodiac's case, and that is why one day Robert got the idea of writing a book on Zodiac. so he goes back to Paul's house. Now Robert had not come to meet him even once in the last 4-5 years, and now he had come to meet him only for information about Zodiac. That is why Paul is very angry at him and says that you two should move on now. More people die every day than the number of people Zodiac has ever killed. We should also think about them, and throws him out of the house. Now Robert leaves from there without saying anything. Still, Robert was not going to stop. Here we see that he was married to his girlfriend. He also had 2 children of his own, on whom he did not pay any attention. That is why his wife also starts getting angry. One day she goes to TV. In the interview he tells the whole world that he is writing a book on Zodiac. This was a very big thing because after this he started getting blank calls directly to his house and no one would talk to him. The person in front of him just took long breaths. Now the life of his children and wife was also in danger. That is why his angry wife gets fed up and leaves him. But even then it does not matter to him. Now Robert goes further to meet Dave so that he can collect some information from him for his book, but after seeing Robert's dedication he tells him to go to Napa County Police Station where Ken Marlowe can help you. Then Robert reaches Napa and meets Ken Marlowe, but there are many requests. After this, Ken agrees and here he gives him the files of the murder of Darlin and other people. By studying the files, Robert gets some points and he comes back and directly tells Dave that Darlin who died was in his city. She was a very famous girl, many people were following her and one of them was her friend, whose name was George, but George's actions were very strange, so Darlin started avoiding him. Then he started following him if he was the Zodiac. So he already knew Darlin and Robert asks Dave to investigate in the same direction, but Dave refuses because Darlin's case was of Valera. So 9 years pass by in total. Now the year was 1978. And suddenly Dave gets a call from Chronicle, and after so many years Zodiac had again written a letter in which he said that he is keeping an eye on Dave. The suspicion comes that Dave himself has sent this letter for publicity. That's why he was suspended from this case. On the other hand, Robert is still thinking that George is the Zodiac. That is why he visits Darlin's sister Linda Jo. Robert goes to visit her in jail and Linda tells him about the man who used to follow Darling. Robert says yes, his name was George, but Linda tells him that the man's name is Lee. Hearing this, Robert is shocked and he connects all the dots. Arthur's full name was Arthur Lee. That is, the person killed Darlin was not George but Arthur, and he could probably be Zodiac. Now Robert runs away. He goes to the officer who is currently investigating the Zodiac case, but that officer does not take Robert seriously. Now Robert's life has become like Paul's. He has also left the job of a cartoonist. He just has to catch Zodiac somehow. One day Robert's wife comes to meet him and gives him some letters. One of the letters contained Arthur Lee's driving license which he had got from someone. Now Arthur sees his birth date in it and his whole mind goes around his birth date. It was December 18th and Zodiac had called Melvin years ago on the same day of his birthday and told his maid that today is my birthday. Melvin Bailey is the same one who had talked to Zodiac in the morning show, so Robert runs to Dave's house. At first Dave does not open the door, but after hearing Arthur's name he talks to Robert and both of them go to the diner. Here Robert connects all the dots. He says that Arthur is the Zodiac. Here they come to know one more thing. Arthur was arrested by the police for some other crime and since then murder, and these letters have also stopped coming, but as soon as Arthur is out of jail. It turns out that they had received a letter from back in the Chronicle, but still they did not have any physical evidence. There was no weapon or blood or DNA, anything, and that is why they could not prove in the court that he is the killer. That is why Dave advises Robert that you should just finish your book and move on in life. Robert does not stop here. He finds out Arthur's address on the 20th of December 1983. After talking to Dave he searches his house. He also goes to his shop to see his reaction, and Arthur probably recognizes him but does not react anything. Now that the case comes after 22 years in 1991, where the case was still being investigated by another officer. And finally, Mike, who is a survivor in Darlin's murder case, is shown the photos of all the suspects in this case, and he immediately places his hand on the photo of Arthur Lee and says that this was the man who shot us. Zodiac is probably Arthur Lee. I am saying this because it was not proved whether he had killed the other victims too or not. But Darlin was definitely killed by him. Then at the end of the movie, we are told that after Mike's statement, Arthur Lee was sent to investigate. He is caught for this, but before the investigation he dies of a heart attack. But later in 2002, The case started being solved through DNA testing in which there were no matches, and that is why Arthur Lee was removed from the list of suspects. In the San Francisco investigation, he is the prime suspect in Napa County and Bolaros City, and due to this, it is said that perhaps the Zodiac killer is still alive. It is circulating because it was never known who killed the other victims, and the movie ends here. Hope you guys like the video. I will meet you in the next video.